Good morning, good morning.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I sing so loud.
I'm saying hi to Rabbi Zaitz.
Why is it so loud?
Good morning.
Morgen, Rebbe, good morning.
Oh. All right. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Nun Zayin. Shabbos Daf Nun Zayin begins the new chapter, the 6th chapter, Bama Isha Yoitza. As we learned in the previous Perek, questions regarding that which an animal might have on it while it goes out to the Reshus Harabim. We have now a much more complex discussion regarding a woman. Now, a couple of introductions. We are not allowed to carry hoitzah, we're not allowed to transfer items from a Reshus HaYachid to a Reshus Harabim, or from Reshus Harabim to Reshus HaYachid, nor to transfer an item, a thing, dalad ames b'Reshus Harabim. Wearing garments do not fall in this category. Let's just define a garment. A garment is something that is put upon a person to clothe, to cover, or even just to fasten, right? Or a belt, garments, clothing. Or the definition of a garment is something that is worn to protect the body from the elements or from injury. And number 3, midoiraisa, a ornament of a person is not considered a burden, it's considered a garment. And let's begin to focus on ornaments, on tachshitim. Midoiraisa, a person can wear a tachshit from the on him or on her and go outside and walk outside. Yet midrabanan, occasionally there are certain tachshitim that a person might take off to show someone else's friend, to show, wow, look at this piece of jewelry. And instead of them putting it back on, they might start to walk with it in their hand, and they will violate then. So to prevent that from happening on certain times, the Chachamim disallow a person to go out with ornaments with tachshit. The Mishnah begins, Bama Isha Yoitza, with what may a woman go out, Ubama Ena Yoitza, and with what may a woman not go out. And let's read inside the top Rashi. The Mishnah is focusing on tachshitim. They have a tachshit, if she's wearing something that's called a tachshit, an ornament, v'loy masui, it's not considered a burden, right? And they're from midoiraisa, she's allowed to go out. And if she, period, however, there are certain things that are in the tachshitin, but the gazabei rabbanan, dilma shofa, so she's going to take it off and show her friend how chashuv of an ornament she has, and then the dilma asila suya daladans. So just to quickly speak out 2 very important arguments amongst the Rishonim. First of all, the Rabbeinu Tam, writes explicitly that this Gezerah Midrabanan is only on women, which is why the Mishnah doesn't speak about a man and a woman, but Bama Isha Yoitza, because he says it's not in the nature of a man who's wearing an ornament to show it off to his friend. Other Rishonim, the Balamoid and others say it's not correct, say that this Gezerah Midrabanan of wearing tachshitin or certain tachshitin is equally on men and on women. Elama, divar hakosav b'haiva. Here, when it comes to Chazal, the more common is that a woman will take it off to show her friend. But indeed, the same is if a man is wearing a type of tachshit that he's gonna want to boast or show it, then he will be usad as well. That's one big argument. Another huge argument is the following: there's a Rishon who wrote a sefer called Sefer HaTruma. The Sefer HaTruma writes that this Gezerah is not Shaykh Bizman Hazeh in his time already, because he holds that the whole Gezerah is that you might carry in a Reshus Harabim, and the definition of a Reshus Harabim, and this is something that we learned earlier in the Perek, is number one, it has to have Tes Zayin Amma width, which is around, we go with 1 amma is 1.5 feet, that's 24 feet. In the Sefer HaTruma writes that in his days, you didn't have such large thoroughways. And just to remember the details, it has to be Tes Zayin Amma. Everyone agrees to that. It has to be an area that's not roofed, not covered, also not walled. We learned a Machlekes Tanoim about that. And then the Sefer HaTruma adds, and this is where we have a Machlekes Rishonim, that Reshus Harabim, even if it has Tes Zayin Amma, it's only called a Reshus Harabim if you have Ki Yotzei Mitzrayim going on it, you have 600,000 people traveling on it, and being that none of this exists in the time of the Sefer HaTruma, so to make a Gezerah, what for a cardinalist, a Gezerah l'Gezerah, we don't do that. And then Ramban quotes the Sefer HaTruma, and he strongly disagrees on many points. First of all, he writes, it's not true that Bisman of their times, that you didn't have any Reshus Harabim that had Tes Zayin Amma. He says it could be certain smaller villages didn't have it, but that's the way the Chachamim work. You can't start saying that in this area you could wear a tachshit. In that area where there's a Reshus Harabim, you can't go with a tachshit. You're making across the board. In every generation, there were certain large cities that have Tes Zayin Amma. Regarding 600,000 people as a criterion to define an area as a Reshus Harabim, says the Ramban that he disagrees with that. That's the big Machlekes Rishonim. He says we never find anywhere in Shas explicitly that you have to have 600,000 people traveling on it. Truth be told, there are hints to it, but just to be aware of two very, very important Machlekes Rishonim, that both of these work themselves all the way down to the Shulchan Aruch. But let's come back to our Mishnah. So the Mishnah begins now with what, before we go, just to finish our introduction, that we're going to be learning because of Tachshitin, aside of enumerating various Tachshitin, we're going to be touching on Daf Nun Zayin and Hilchas Chatzitza, because as we'll see in a moment, the reason why certain hair Tachshitin may not be worn is because if a woman has to go to the mikveh, being that those items cause a Chatzitza, and you'll have to loosen it, she might actually take it off and carry it. So we're going to be learning Gavaldik Hilchas Chatzitza, as well as we're going to be learning about various ornaments that women wore in those days. And we're going to define whether the Chazal were afraid she might take it off or she might take it off. And we will also be touching about the obligation for married women to cover their hair. It was common then, one of the types of shaitels that women wore is that they would weave hair on their hair. They would tie, whether it's their own already cut hair or other women's hair, on their hair. And we're going to see how this plays in to Hilchas Chatzitza, and therefore how this plays in with this Gezerah. Okay, so inside the Mishnah. Bama isha yoytze ubama eina yoytze. Begins the Mishnah. A woman may not go out. The Mishnah begins by enumerating 3 articles that they share one common concept. Not with woolen strands. We'll see, this is speaking about women that were to tie normally woolen strands on their hair, or they would weave it in their hair, nor b'chutei pishtan, or with linen strands, the old style shaitels, or nor with other types of straps that she puts on her head. All right, these are all types of items that women would either do for ornamental purposes or for covering the hair purposes, All of them are in the same category. They may not be worn. And as the Gemara is going to clarify the next line in the Mishnah, she may not toivel when they are woven tightly on her hair, until she loosens them, because it renders her, these items create a chatzitza. They interpose between the waters of the mikveh and her hair. And as the Mishnah, as the Gemara will explain, and therefore, if this woman has to go to the mikveh, she will have to at least make them loose. Now, making them loose would be good. It would still be covering her hair. She would not be carrying it by making it loose, nor now that these hairs are individually loosened, they don't create a chatzitza. But there are times that a woman says, instead of loosening them, I'll take them off. And again, if she'll take them off, she might not put them back on. She might end up carrying them. Okay. And as the Gemara will explain with greater detail. Now we're moving on to another ornament. The loy bit toy tefes. We have in the toy tafos. Fits. Toy tefes is a name of an ornament, as the Gemara will clarify. It's a type of frontlet, and we'll give more a greater description when we learn the Gemara. The loy bit sarvita, nor with head bangles. But when may she not wear that? Bisman she'enam tefurim, when they're not tied to her hat. Married women are not allowed to go out there with their hair uncovered. So if it's going to be tied to their hats, even if these are very beautiful ornaments that theoretically she would want to show to her friends, she would not do that, because if it's tied to her hat, she'll have to take off her hat. Taking off her hat means she'll uncover her hair. No woman would do that. But if they're not tied onto their hat, so these are the types of ornaments that are of tremendous value, and there's a likelihood that she'll take it off to show them off. And again, that's the whole fear that if she'll do that, she might, instead of putting it back on, she might walk in to the Shusanabim before she puts it back on and carry and violate Toitzah. Another ornament, we'll see in the Gemara two options what kavul means. Just to remember that we did have the word kavul on Daf Nun Dalid when we were speaking about items that go on an animal. All right. Here, kavul is either a certain woolen cap, a ornamental woolen cap that went under her hat. Now, it's shayach for her to pull off the cap without taking off the hat. Kavul also might refer to an eved, a slave, a male slave, a female slave, were obligated to wear some sort of emblem that showed that they are a slave. And that might be the kavul. And we'll speak about, it's not an ornament, a lot more details on Daf Nun Zayin Amud Beis. Furthermore, another ornament, v'loy be'ir shel zav, right? That story of Rabbi Akiva's wife, Rachel. Ir shel zav is some sort of either machlokas Rashi Tosfos, either it's a clasp, according to Rashi, according to Tosfos, it's a tiara, something she would wear in her hair. It was a certain golden plate or a precious metal plate that had on it engraved or protruding the likeness of the skyline of Yerushalayim. These were called Ir shel zav, v'loy bekatla, nor with a choker, certain type of necklace. And all of these things are items that women might take off and then end up carrying. V'loy benazamim, nor with nose rings. V'loy betabas, nor with a ring she'ein oleh chosim, that has no signet in it. If a woman is wearing a ring that has a signet in it, in other words, it's used for a function like to seal or sign a document, this is no longer considered a tachshit. If it's not a tachshit, and as we spoke on our intro, nor is it covering the body, nor is it protecting anyone from the elements. Here, if a person goes out with it, man or woman, they're violating an iser doiraisa of hitzah. Our Mishnah is only speaking about items that midoiraisa are good. It's a tachshit. It's only asr midrabanan. So what ring is only asr midrabanan? A ring that doesn't have an erachaisim. It's not a functional ring. It's a ornamental ring. Likewise, when it comes to pins, so you have a needle that has an eye in it, that's used for sewing. That's not an ornament. And again, if a woman were to take such a needle and stick it into her clothing, she's going to be violating an Isur Doiraisa. But if she has a machad she'eina nukuba, that's a pin. A pin is an ornament. A pin is not an Isur Doiraisa. But the Chazal said, don't wear any of these, and in all of the ones that mentioned in the Mishnah, if she goes out b'shoigig, she's not chayiv chatos, because indeed, on a do'iraisa level, she is wearing a tachshit, and a tachshit is included in the category of a beged on which there is no isur of haitzah midoiraisa. Okay, begins the Gemara. The Mishnah mentioned the first three items was chutei tzemer, chutei pishtan, ritzua sheberoisha, different items that women wove into their hair. Right afterwards, the Mishnah says, but you can't toivel with them until you make them loose. So, frag the Gemara, who's speaking about Hilchas Tefilla? Tefilla man dechar shema. Why are we mentioning it? So, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Amar Abba bar Avua. No, the Mishnah is giving a reason for the first three. My tam ka'amar. Truth be told, the first three are not even that much of a tachshit. Can't say that a sheitel is a tachshit. It's part of her begadim. Like we mentioned, the definition of a beged is to cover her body. It's a bona fide beged. What's the problem here? My tam loy seitze isha loy b'chutei tzemer loy b'chutei pishtan, etc. The Gemara also means the third case that it's Rosh Hashanah because mepnei she'amru chachamim that even in the weekday, even b'choil loy titpoil, a woman who has these woven or tied, right? You call them maybe today extensions onto her hair. She may not toivel until she loosens them. And therefore, explains the Gemara what the Mishnah means to say, the Shabbos late say, then she may never wear them on Shabbos. Why? Because Dilma Misrami La Tefilla Shel Mitzvah. It might be that she'll go, this is her Friday night to go to the mikvah. And Visharia Luhu, Visharia means she won't only loosen it, she'll untie it. She'll take it off. And okay. Says the Gemara, boy, Rav Kahana Mirav, TK Chalilto. The woman ties her hair not with the three items mentioned in the Mishnah, but with some sort of chains that create some sort of chained meshwork. What's the kasha? What's the problem? This type of chain, this type of old-style sheitel that was taka always woven or tied onto the hair was never tied tightly because the chain was lechatchila thicker. It's thicker. An item that's thicker cannot be knotted as tight as a very skinny thread. And being that it's never tied onto or woven into very tightly, it never has to be loosened. If it never has to be loosened, so maybe there's no problem for her to go out with this, because why would she take it off if she doesn't have to do anything, even if she has to go to the mikvah? And indeed, Amarlei, that she's no problem. And a chanami. Arik, ka'amrat. You're speaking about such a woven article. Kol shehu arik, anything that's woven. We're speaking the way that the Shredim speak out. It's not anything, but it's this type of chain meshwork that's woven because of the thickness of this type of sheitel. It was never tightly. It cannot physically be tightly tied onto the hairs. It cannot be tightly woven onto the hairs. It never poses a chatzitza. Women knew about it. They never needed even to loosen it. As is was good to go into the mikvah. And therefore, anachanami loy gazru. And itmanami, amar afunu v'rei Rav Yeshua, kol shehu arig loy gazru. As a rule, kol shehu arig loy gazru. However, there's another version that amar afunu v'rei Rav Yeshua, chazino la'achvasi, I saw my sisters before they took a bath, not a mikvah, before they went to the bath, they kaptan alive, that it never bothered them to remove it before the bath, because they know that it's not going to get into the way of them properly cleaning the hair, because physically it was never that tight. It never covered any part of the hair so tightly that water couldn't get there. So by the fact that they bathed with it, that's my raya that it doesn't pose a chatzitza. Says the Gemara, these two versions have a big difference. Whether he spoke about his sister's bathing or whether he said aklal, that kol shehu warig loy gazru, the Gemara says there's an afkamina. If these chains are actually dirtied. In other words, it doesn't matter whether they're clean or they're dirty. There's a rule. Anything that's only woven, any type of material like this that's woven, can never pose a chatzitza. Haninami, even though it's dirty, it's soiled, it's a rule. It's about whether woman will take it off or not. Even if it doesn't pose a chatzitza, he says, my sisters had no problem bathing with it. Which means that if they would be dirty, you would not bathe with it. You would take it off for bathing, not for chatzitza. But if you would go into water and because of it being soiled, you would take it off, so then the fear is back on. Here, kivan de tanifa, if they are dirty, mikpat kapti Aliyah, women don't want to go into any body of water with an article on them that's soiled, therefore they might take it off. And whenever there is a possibility of some women taking it off, Chazal were afraid that this woman might forget, and instead of putting it back on, she might walk with it, carrying it, and she'll violate Haitzah. Therefore, she may never wear it to the Reshus Harabim on Shabbos. I just want to add a detail as we'll unpackage this whole sugya, that there are certain tachshitin that not only may she not wear Reshus Harabim midrabanan, but Chazal already did not allow her to wear in the yard. Because she's already wearing it in the yard, she might forget and go out with it. However, that's not a rule. There are other articles that Chazal only prohibited her to wear Reshus Harabim, but they did allow her to wear this ornament in the yard. There's a concept that we don't want that a woman should become Tizgana al Balo. We want her to look beautiful in the eyes of their husband. So we're going to be learning details later, whether all of these gezeras go only Reshus Harabim, whether they also include the chatzir, and we'll see which case will have which halach. Okay, so we did mention Hilchas Chatzitza, which explains the first three ornaments or types of hair beautifiers or hair coverers that we had in the beginning of the Mishnah. And now we're going to continue with Hilchas Chatzitza. So the Gemara quotes a Mishnah in Mikvois. Tanan Hassan, ve'elu chaytzitzin ba'adam, chutei tzemer, that was the first case of our Mishnah, chutei pishtan, right, woolen strands, linen strands, v'haratzuay shabaroi shabari, straps that are woven into the hair of young women. These are the same three of our Mishnah. So the Tanakama, here we're saying that they create a chatzitza. However, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he mentions shel tzemer, woolen strands. He disagrees with the Tanakama. He holds that it's not a chatzitza. Now he adds something that the Tanakama did not explicitly speak about, v'shel seyar. What happens if you're using hair to cover your own hair? All right, whether it's your pre-cut hair or someone else's hair, both a sheitel of tzemer, we speak about something that's woven in or tied on, and or v'shal seyar holds Rabbi Yehuda ein chaytzitzin. Why? Because water penetrates through them, even if they're tightly tied. Could be that the water goes inside the woolen or the other hair, and therefore it seeps through it. But in any event, these two items are not a chatzitz. This is the Mishnah. On that, Amar Rav Huna, feeling there is a need to clarify something, we'll see soon what he needs to clarify, that v'kulan, let's go back to the Tanakama. The Tanakama is the machmer. They post chatzitza. It's only beroshe haban loishaninu. If they are on the head, meaning on the hair, that's where the Tanakama says it's a chatzitza, implying that if this would have been put as an ornament on any other part of their body, we'll see where here even the Tanakama will hold that it's not a chatzitza. And the Gemara says, Maskiv la Rabbi Yosef, to try to analyze what Rav Huna is referring to, l'ma'utamai. What exactly is he saying? Where is it that even the Tanakama, so the Tanakama that's machmer, the elo chaytzitzin, that he'll be lenient if they go on another part of the body? That if you take this tzemer and you make a woolen necklace, that the Tanakama will hold that it's not a chatzitza. Udamai, why? If wool on here, wool is relative to linen, wool is rach. And Rabbi Yehuda also holds that what's a chatzitza? Tzemer tied on to the hair. So if wool on something hard is chaytzitz, even though normally the harder something is, then sometimes the soft doesn't adhere as much. But he says it does stick on strong enough to affect a chatzitza. So taking something soft, which is again, wool is soft compared to linen, and putting it, let's say, on your neck as a necklace, on skin, avada, it's going to adhere more. Is miboya, fakert, the Tanakama will hold that's avada, something that poses a chatzitza. And if a woman is wearing some sort of woolen necklace, she will have to take it off before she goes to the mikvah. Ella, maybe he wasn't referring to the first case of the Tanakama, but he was referring to chutei pishtan. Chutei pishtan is harder. And again, that he's saying, Rabbi Yehuda is trying to say that even the Tanakama's maida, that chutei pishtan on the neck as a necklace is not chaytzitz, also can be. Because hashta kasha al gaba kasha, linen which is hard, hair is hard. You say chaytzitz, hard and hard is the worst. They stick the least. So kasha al gaba rach, again, be boyem. So Rabbi Yosef, no, we understood good pshat in Rav Huna. Rav Huna is trying to tell you that even the Tanakama, that is more machman than Rabbi Yehuda, agrees, is maida, that these strands as a necklace on the neck is not a chatzitza. And why won't it be a chatzitza? When you wear a necklace, you're not going to choke yourself. And therefore, you're not going to put it too tight. And as we learned by Kol Shehu Arig is not a chatzitza. Something that's never put that tight is never a chatzitza and doesn't, period. It's not a chatzitza. Okay. About this concept that lefisha ein isha chenekas esatzma. Right. By the way, we mentioned in the Mishnah a choker. It's called a choker. And as we'll see in Daf Nun Zayin Amud Beis, that in the times of Chazal, beauty had to do with being a baalas basar, having to be overweight, and the way and having a double chin was considered beautiful. And the way you create a double chin, even if you don't have one, is by putting these articles on your neck and choking up your skin to make you look bigger than you are. And that all that will be a stira to what we're saying right now. This Bryce is not speaking about directly Hilchas Chatzitza. This Bryce is speaking about Hilchas Shabbos, right? That women have a minute to make holes in the ears to put in earrings. However, when the hole is made, so every time and every place has different steps how this happens. In the times of this Bryce, the ear was perforated, but before they would put in a metal ornament, a beautiful earring, they would put in a strand for whatever reason. They would put in the strand, making sure that the hole doesn't heal, doesn't close. Now, why did they not already put in the earring? I don't know. But that was when they used to put in strands. So says the Braisa that a woman is allowed to go out with the Shusanabim with those strands. First of all, it's still in the category of a tachshet, even though it's still a strand. She might take it off. She'll never take it out because girls were afraid it was painful to get their ears perforated. If they're going to take it out, the hole might close. So she can walk out with that. However, but not with drawstrings that are on their necks. So that different ornaments that they tied on their necks. Now hold on. Which is why even the Tanakama is more lenient when it comes to the woolen strand or to the linen strand on her neck than Chavakam Shabbat Savarim. Any ornament that is on a neck of a woman, why may she not go out? Gavaldik. It's not that tight. If it's not that tight, that's the whole word. It's not a chatzitza. If it's not a chatzitza, she won't take it off when she goes to the mikvah. And if she won't take it off when she goes to the mikvah, then there's no reason. Okay, so Amar Avina answers the Gemara. Turn to from Zayin Amud Beis. Don't give me a zaklal across the board that a woman never puts something on her neck very tight. Hacha bekatla askinon. Very interesting. Rashi teaches katla. Katla means a choker. That's why it's called a killer, something that chokes you. But Rashi says that it was common then for women while eating to put on what we call a bib. Today, a bib is only put on a child. But look inside the top Rashi. Beged chashuv, litlois b'tzavari keneged liba, shelo yipol mashihir chelas al bigodeha. Wow. So they had a certain fancy bibs that women would wear when they're having a meal. And v'yesh loy makim shenatzim, and they had certain straps. And Rashi explains that these straps were very thick. The strap was thick. Being that it was thick, it would not choke you. It's not like a woolen strand. And she would put it around very tight. Look inside the Gemara, back inside. The Isha in this, if it's a thick, it won't choke her. She is chinekes atzma. Because the nicholah shetira kebalas basar. So that resolves the Braisa. But going back to the way we interpreted, Rafon interpreted the Mishnah, he interpreted the Mishnah correct, that if it's just a skinny string, a woman will never tie it too tight because that will choke her. And therefore, when does the Tanakama say it's a chatzitza? Only if it's on her hair, but these types of woolen strings, necklaces on her neck, don't create a chatzitza when she goes to the mikvah. Continuing, the Gemara is not referring back to our Mishnah of Shabbos. The Gemara in the two dots is referring back to the Mishnah in Mikvos. That Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he was more lenient regarding Hilchas Chatzitza. And he says that if the hair is made out of wool, or if the extension is made out of hair, ein chaytzitzen, because both by tzemer and by seyar, says the Tana Rabbi Yehuda, mipnei shahamayin boyin bahem, because the water penetrates through it. It doesn't interpose the waters and the hair. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, halacha ki Rabbi Yehuda b'chutei seyar. Regarding Chutei Seir, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Now, what does that imply? Don't forget, my friends, that Tanakama never mentioned anything about Chutei Seir. So Amar Le Abaye. So Abaye tells Rabbi Yosef, I don't understand you. Halacha, when you say we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda by hair, are you implying, which it implies that the Tanakama disagrees? The Tanakama doesn't discuss it. How did you know he disagrees for you to have a need to say we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda? And v'chi teima'i lav dishma'in mi Tanakama da'ayre b'chutei seir. Has to be that the Tanakama, even though it's not written in the Mishnah, but the Tanakama opined on hair, because if he wouldn't have Bachlal given any opinion on hair, then Iyu Nami, Iyu meaning him, Rabbi Yehuda, have a mighty, Rabbi Yehuda wouldn't have mentioned it. This is a good Gemara just to understand how to learn a Mishnah. That's not the way you learn a Mishnah, says the Gemara. It's nish emes. The Dilma, maybe the Tanakama never gave an opinion about hair. You know why he didn't? Because it was a given for the Tanakama that hair extensions don't create a chatzitza. And he didn't speak about it. Tanakama mentioned 3 items that are a chatzitza. So when Rabbi Yehuda is disagreeing with the Tanakama, the reason why Rabbi Yehuda mentions hair, the Dilma, keshem ka'amar lahu. He mentioned here to create his shita against the Tanakama, meaning that ki heicha de moidisu li b'chutei seir, not the way Rabbi Yosef is implying that the Tanakama disagrees. He has to paskin like Rabbi Yosef. No, everyone agrees that seir, chutei seir, that is tied on to the woman's own hair, is not a chatzitza. And he knows that the Tanakama agrees to that. So he tells the Tanakama, just like your moida, that chutei seir is not a chatzitza. So the semer is like that. Oidelinami b'chutei semer. In other words, listen, guys, it's amazing. We're not arguing what the halach is like. Everyone is agreeing, Rabbi Yosef, Abaya, that by seir, the way it was tied on then, does not create a chatzitza. No one is debating that. The argument is whether there is a machlekes tanoim about it. And Abaya is arguing, everyone agrees that it's not a chatzitza, so there's no need to say regarding hair that halacha ki Rabbi Yehuda. And indeed, says the Gemara, itmen, Amar Rav Nachman Mashmuel, that moedim chachamim Rabbi Yehuda, clear. The chutei seir, that it's not a chatzitza. And Tanya Nami Hachi, chutei tzemer chaytzitzin, chutei seir, ein chaytzitzin. This is the chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda says, shall tzemer vish shall seir ein chaytzitzin. Okay. So, Fakir, we proved Abaya's interpretation of the Mishnah is correct, but we're not challenging what Rabbi Yosef is saying. We're just saying there was no need for him to say halacha by seir, because indeed everyone agrees that the way, this was a common thing then. They didn't have the shekels the way we have today, as good as we have it today at all, but people would tie on other articles to cover their hair, that in those days at least, the hair extensions was something that women did not have to remove or untie before they went to the mikvah. Wow. I'm saying those days because you have to know how it was done those days. You have to know how it's done today. Today, it could be, it is. Okay. Our Mishnah, not our Mishnah on Daf Nun Zayin, but our Mishnah in Shabbos on Daf Samach Dalet, where it says, Yoitza Isha B'chutei Seyar Bei Mishla Bei Mishal Chaverta. And now the Gemara is going to prove, don't come and tell me that our series of Mishnahs is following Rabbi Yehuda. Who's the author of the Mishnah and Daf Nun Zayin, and therefore in the Mishnah and Daf Samach Dalet? If our Tan is only following Rabbi Yehuda, then the Mishnah should have added also of Tzemer. Rabbi Yehuda, at least the Mishnah and Daf Samach Dalet, then afilu chutit Tzemer nami. Fact that the Mishnah doesn't mention that is the charayit that the Mishnah is following the shita of the Chachamim, or it wants to be according to everyone, including the Chachamim. So indeed, B'shma mino, that even according to the Chachamim, b'chutei seir loy pliga shma mino. Okay. Now we're going back to ornaments. So the Mishnah mentioned a female ornament known as a toy tefes. It's some sort of frontlet that was worn on a woman's forehead. It was normally made out of a precious metal. And again, if it's not tied, the Mishnah says, then she's asur. Like we mentioned, if it's tied onto her hat, and the only way she can take it off to show it off is by taking off her hat as well, no one will do that. But if it's not tied, it's a problem. My toy tefes. So Amar Rabbi Yosef, we said a frontlet. That's the maskana. But Rabbi Yosef began by saying, no, it's chumarta de ketifta. It's some sort of charm packet. It was some sort of necklace. that had in it, that was made out of a certain material or was similar to a kameya that had in it certain items that women would wear as a necklace to protect them from a ayin hara. So if that's taka the pshat, it's not an ornament, it's some sort of anti-ayin hara article to have a kekemeya mumcha v'tishtari, then it should be like a kemeya mumcha, and we already quoted that before, that if we know that this taka works, whether it works for healing, whether it works to ward off an ayin hara, then women don't take it off, they leave it on them the whole time, and it's taka, a kemeya mumcha is mutter. Why would this be different? Just parenthetically, just to make something clear, I heard this, who pointed this out to me was my Rosh Yeshiva, Rab Label Shapiro Shlita, that the Rebbe writes, it's printed in Shad Halacha Minig and in other places regarding the people who erroneously put around their wrists a red string, right, to ward off an ayin hara, that this is asur midoraisa no matter when. The Rebbe calls this midarkei ha'amoidi. Midarkei ha'amoidi enters the category of loisecha b'chukei seiv. It's a problem on a doiraisa level. We're not talking about something, the goyim were the ones that made up the red string. And not only goyim, it's worse, it's pagan idol worshippers. In the Mishnah, we find red as a protection. We learned this a few times already, is that if my tree was ill and I wanted people to daven for my tree to get better, mamish, aside of me tending, if you have to know how to work with trees, aside of me doing what I could, I want people to know that the tree is ill for people to daven. So they would wrap the tree with a red string. That's something that we do find. That was not a goyish, that was a Yiddish thing. But coming back over here, not a red string, a kameya. So he's going back, if Rabbi Yosef is correct that toitefes means some sort of charm ornament, that is not a problem. Women would not take it off and it would be mutter. So Amalei Abaye, I'm sorry. So Elam Rav Yehuda Shmei Abaye, like we explained, Apu Zainu, a frontlet, and Tanyanami Hachi, not a necklace. You'll clear. We'll see. It's connected to the hat. That Yoitza Isha B'Sivacha Hamizoheves. A woman is allowed to go out with a hat that's decorated with gold. It's a decorated golden hat. It's taka also an ornament. Again, even though she would like to show it off, she can't. She can't uncover her hair. Or Betoitefes or Besarvitin. We'll see in a moment what sarvitin are. It's called head bangles, but we'll see in a moment if they are kavuyan on the hat. So by the fact that we have a braisa that puts the hat and the toitefes and sarvitin that are connected to the hat, it's not a necklace. It's something connected to the hat, to the head. Now the Gemara wants to clarify, now that it's for sure not a charm packet as a necklace. So ezu toitefes, what's the difference between a frontlet and the ezu sarvitin and what's head bangles? Don't they sound the same? It's some sort of metal plate that goes on her forehead from one ear to the other ear, right? Like let's say the tzitz, and sarvitin, head bangles, is something that comes down from the hat and it goes down the sides of her cheeks. And again, the Braisa and the Mishnah are not speaking about the same case. The Braisa is speaking about a case where it's tied to her hat that she can wear. It's an ornament, but she'll never take it off because she's not going to take off her hat. The Mishnah writes befedish, right, that toitefes and sarvitin, the Mishnah says by us, bisman she'ein tefurim, if they're not tied on, sewed on, connected to the hat, then it's a tachshit that a woman might show off and might end up carrying. Amar Ababo, Amar Afuna, just to know about these types of tachshitin, that aniyos oisin oisan shalminitzavaina. They can't afford gold, but they wear these frontlets, these head bangles. They wear them out of beautiful colored material. And nashirois oisin oisan shal kesev b'shel zav. Okay, the next item that we had in the Mishnah was a kavul, v'loy b'kavul. Today, the Gemara, that again we already mentioned that on Dafnun Daled, the kavul, they were speaking about certain things that they would put on the female animals, tying their tail down for them not to be mounted. The word kavul on Dafnun Daled alluded to an article, right, that is connected to non-productivity. That's by an animal. Here we have the same word, and here there's a question in the Gemara what it refers to. So let's begin. Amar Rabbi Yanai. I don't know what it means, and I'm going to give you my doubt. It's not I don't know at all. It's either A or B. I don't know whether it's A or B. Is it Kavla da Avda Tanan? Is the Mishnah referring to a slave's emblem? So they would have either somewhere on their head or somewhere on their garments. They would have a certain emblem that was made out of ceramic that showed everyone that they were slaves. Sometimes they made their own. We'll see later in Daf Nun Ches, sometimes their masters made it for them. In that case, the masters were very makbid for them always to wear it. That is something that they may not wear. And why will they not be allowed to wear it? We'll see in a moment. Aval kippah shel tzemer. The other option of kavla is, like we mentioned, it's a certain ornamental woolen cap that was put under the hat. So here it's already questionable. It's under their hat. Again, a woman is not going to uncover her hair. But if she has this beautiful ornamental woolen cap that would protrude from under the hat, nice. And she would want to show it off, but she has a hat. She can like keep the hat on, take off the cap, and show it. If she'll do that, that's a problem. But maybe that's not what the Mishnah is referring to. Abel kippah shel tzemer, she may wear it because since at the end of the day it's covering her hair, even though there's a way for her to take it off and leaving her hair covered, a woman won't do that. And if a woman won't do it, nothing wrong with it. I Dilma know that Kavla in the Mishnah is referring to the kippah shel tzemer, and indeed the kolshchein Kavla da Avda will be something that the Eved may not walk out with because that's something that an Eved might take off. We'll get more details about it. We'll see later that some of them were afraid of their masters to take it off. But on the other hand, if you're wearing this emblem that says you're a slave, sometimes you'll want to hide it. You'll take it off. Okay, so which one is it? So Rav Yanai says, I don't know. So Amar Rabba Bohu, that mistabra, that the Mishnah is speaking about kippah shel tzemer, which means not only an avada, this emblem of a slave, but even a kippah shel tzemer is asur. Tanan. And the Tanya Nami Hachi, yoitz isha bekavul, or ube istama, we'll explain istama in a moment, but we're only to the yard. Fakert, we already mentioned that in the beginning, and this is something that we'll speak about more later, that our Perek begins with what a woman may or may not walk out into the Reshus HaRabim. Let's make that clear. But now, in certain ornaments are not only prohibited to go under the Reshus HaRabim because she might take it off there to show it off and to carry it, but they even disallowed her to wear it in her yard. Because if she's wearing it in the chutzner, she might forget and go out to the Reshus HaRabim. That yard additional extension was not for everything, because the other tzad is a woman cannot wear anything beautiful on Shabbos. We want it to look beautiful. Not only is she allowed to wear it in her house, that goes to anything, but certain articles are allowed in the chutzner. And that is the kavul, that in the street not, in the yard yeah. So if we're speaking about isha yoitza the kavul, and what's the pshat you can go with the kavul? Because we're speaking about an ornament, and the reason why there are matter certain ornaments in a chutzner is, like we said, we want it to look beautiful in the eyes of her husband. Rab Shimon Elazar Omer, that a kavul can even be worn into the Reshus HaRabim. And now explaining his shita, klal Amar Rab Shimon ben Elazar, that kol shulamat min hashchava, anything that she's wearing under her hat, even if it's not tied onto the hat, even if theoretically it's possible for you to remove it and still leave the hat on. Rab Shimon says, I don't care. Yoitzim boy, because she's not going to touch that part of her body. It's only kol shulamat min hashchava and yoitzim boy. So by the fact that in the hemshech of the Mishnah, we're speaking about under the hat, clear. So what are we speaking? We're speaking about this woolen cap. That's the meaning, that's the raya. Just like we find that in this braisa, likewise, the Mishnah means the same thing with kabul. It's some sort of woolen cap. And therefore, not only may a woolen cap not be worn, for sure, a kavla da'avda may not be worn, as Rabbi Yanai spoke out that side. Now that we quoted this braisa, so now according to this, we're speaking about a woolen cap, but that only explains the word kavul. But what's the meaning of istema? Sometimes it doesn't help. You use one word that you don't know, it means another word that you don't know. Right, the end of the Amid. My bizyoine, the white line. Amarabaya, Amaraf kalia, a scarf, paruche for the flying strands. So women used to weave their hair. They would braid up their hair and they would cover it with a hat. Oh, but sometimes when you braid hair, some individual strands are not in the braid. So behind their heads, they would gather all of the flying hairs and they would put it in a scarf. That's the meaning of an istimal. Okay, very good. And all of that, that's what the Tanakh means, that these are articles that Taka B'Reshus Harabim you cannot go with. This you're not taking off your hat. It's what protrudes outside of the hat, some strands. But b'chatzah you can wear it. Now that we mentioned this type of scarf that is used to gather all of the flying hairs that are not in the braids, there are 3 halachos that are related to this type of scarf. Number 1 is ein ba mishum kalayim. Even if the scarf is made out of wool and linen, being that it is felt-like, it's not proper threads, right? So therefore, it's not included in the isur of kilayim. Like Rashi, 5 lines before the bottom of the Amid, sha'asua can mean love. Love means a felt. It's not a beged. And therefore, one connected to the other, even if it develops one of the samanim of tzoras habeged, the ein MERCAVA b'negoyim, because a negoyim is on a beged and felt, something that was not properly made into strings and then woven together. It's just a felt, is not called a beged. And the third halacha, which is what we learned here, the ein yoitzin ba l'reshus harabim. Okay, because again, since there is a hat, according to the Tanakh, a woman might take it off, and Mishum, Rab Shimon Amru. And by the way, here also, I would say that Rab Shimon and Elazar will also agree to it because it's not under her hat. And I'm sure Rab Shimon and Elazar Amru, Dafnun Ches, Ein Ba Mishum, Atarois Kalois. So as we learned Mamash at the end of Soita, that during the Churban Abayis, many takanas were made to limit a external expression of joy, because we don't yet have a Beis HaMikdash, including that brides used to wear crowns. When they went to the chuppah, they may not wear such crowns, bisman hagalus. What crown is prohibited? A crown made out of precious metal. But if a crown is made out of this type of felt, that's not included in the Gezerah. And a kala may go to the chuppah wearing a type of istama. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel disagrees with Rababo. He's going back to Rabbi Yanai's question. So Rababo says that the Mishnah kavul means kippah shel tzemer. Shmuel Amar, no. The Mishnah is speaking about kavla da'avda tanan. In other words, according to Shmuel, even according to our Mishnah, according to our Mishnah, a woman is allowed to wear a woolen cap. Why can she wear a woolen cap? Because it's under her hat. Even though she's able to pull it out, with her leaving her hat on, a woman wouldn't do that. B'reshus harabim. The kavla da'avda is that which may not be worn. What's the fear that why? Because maybe the Eved will take it off and he'll end up carrying it. How can Shmuel have such an opinion? Shmuel himself is the one that says that if this emblem is around his neck, he is allowed to go out with it. You know why? Because he'll be afraid to take it off. If his master will chop him that he took it off, he's rebelling. However, but he may not go if the emblem is attached to the beged. Then he may not go out. The Gemara soon is going to explain the difference. So hold on for the difference. But what do we see over here? That Shmuel says clearly that how can Shmuel be the one in our Mishnah when the Mishnah says that you may not go out with the kavel? Explain that the kavel is this slave's emblem. Like Hashem, when Shmuel explicitly said that he is allowed to go out, that is if the emblem was made by his master. There, the master will become very upset with him if he takes it off. He's afraid to take it off. Our Mishnah, the way Shmuel explains it, is the Abadil and Afshe. The master didn't make it for him. He made it for himself. The very fact that the master didn't make it, that this is a master that doesn't bother you if you're going out with that way, you're going to take off the emblem. All right, so people will think at that moment that you're not my slave. Who cares? If he's such a master, then there's like a fear that an Eved might take it off. He'll be ashamed that everyone will know that he's an Eved, and that's why he Bechlal may not wear it. Now that we quoted Shmuel, hold on. The Maya came to Lord Shmuel, David Lei Rabbi, we have to be consistent. So whether the Rabbi made it for around his neck, whether the Rabbi made an emblem for his Eved to wear on his garment, what difference is there? He'll always be afraid to take it off. So according to Shmuel, why may he not go out? He'll be afraid to take it off. So the Gemara answers, yeah, he'll never take it off. But these emblems that were made out of ceramic, it was relatively common. If it's not a necklace, if it's sewed on or stuck onto the garment, it might fall off. Dilma mifsak, it might become detached. And when it becomes detached, it falls down. Ceramic, my friends, when it falls down, cracks. Now, once it breaks, then the Eved is really afraid because he's going to think that his rabbi will accuse him of breaking his seal. So what will he do to cover up the fact that right now the emblem broke? Because of Umirsas, he'll be afraid. Umikpal lay, he's going to fold the garment over in an unusual way. So let's say it was on a shoulder. So he's going to do something to the garment that part of the beged b'chlal won't be visible. And even if he's going to wear the garment, but when you wear a garment folded in an unusual way, in a way that people normally don't go out garbed in that way, that's considered carrying. That's the fear. You're gonna fold over the garment and you're gonna throw it on your shoulder, but you're not gonna wear it the normal way. And this is Kid Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Rabbi Yosef. There's Rabbi Yosef in the name of Rabbi Yechanan that hayoytze b'talis mikupelas. If you have a talis and you are folding it over and you're putting it on your shoulders, I would say a good muscle for this is that sometimes when you're wearing a jacket, if it's very hot, but you still want to wear a jacket, instead of putting your hands in the sleeves, remember that? You would throw it over your shoulders. That's a good muscle. Now, can you go out like this, B'Rishus Harabim on Shabbos, when there's no Eruv? The question is, do people go out that way? If no one goes out that way, then for sure not. That's the thing here. He has this area where there's an emblem. The emblem broke. He's afraid for anyone to know that this happened. The rabbi will accuse him of rebelling. So he's going to fold the garment and wear it in an unusual way, and it'll be chayv chatos. That's why on the beged, on a necklace didn't fall out. The emblem on a garment sometimes became detached. That's the difference in Shmuel. That's the explanation in the difference that Shmuel makes. Now
it's called carrying, Rabbi?
Huh?
It's called carrying?
Sure, it's called carrying.
Okay, so he's not wearing it because it's folded in a strange way.
If you're not wearing it in the way that it's normally worn, that's the words in Allah. If you wear something ba'ofen that this is the way this is normally worn, then you're good. But if you make a shinoi, then you're not good, and you're entering an Isur D'Oraisa. And the ha the Omar lei Shmuel teraf Chinana bar Shila, whoever was connected to the Reish Galusa of the time would have something on their garments that had the emblem of that Reish Galusa. And Rab Chinana was told, right, by Rav Shmuel, that all of the Chachamim that work and are connected to the household of the Reish Galusa, they didn't have an emblem of servitude, they had an emblem of pride, but there was a certain something on their garments that showed, they work for the Reish Galusa. They should not go out, right, with their cloaks that have the choisam of the Reish Galusa. And why is that? Because these emblems, even of the Reish Galusa, were articles that sometimes might fall down. And if it's going to fall down, then the person will be ashamed. He doesn't want people to even think that he wants to disassociate himself with the Reish Galusa. The same concept. And therefore, again, they're going to put on their garments, fold it in a way that no one will even notice that it fell off. But he tells Rav Chinana, but you don't have such a problem. You know what? Because the Reish Galusa knows that you are so loyal to the Reish Galusa, even if you won't be wearing the emblem of the Reish Galusa, he won't even notice it. He won't be choished that you're trying to disassociate yourself from the Reish Galusa. He was Azam Kusher, and he didn't need to wear a Lubavitcher hat, Lamashal. It was everyone knew that he's the Reish Galusa's person. And even if the emblem would fall off, he wouldn't be uncomfortable, the Reish Galusa wouldn't care. And he would never fold the garment in an unusual way. So you are allowed to go out with a garment with the emblem of the Reish Galusa, but everyone else should not. So concluding the sugya, it's time to know that it was already an old minig, that when you belong to a certain group, you belong to the Reish Galusa, taka, it's a good thing. Put on your garment a siman, because we are proud about it. Wear your Lubavitcher hat, let people who look at you know right away, here goes a Lubavitcher chassid. Now we have to stand up and listen. We have to be careful. If we are known, we have to make a kiddush Lubavitch the whole time. But that's life. That's a good thing. God willing, to be continued.
So he's allowed to wear the emblem? I don't understand that rationale.
So he can wear the emblem because these emblems that were made out of ceramic, they weren't that affixed to the garments. Sometimes they fell off. So the question is, how would you react if it falls off? Most people would be very uncomfortable with it. They would be uncomfortable because they would be afraid that an observer will think, oh, what happened? You left that group. You're no longer from the Reish Galusa.
So what we're saying, we're not worried, and we're saying that he's going to just leave it on the floor?
We're not worried for Abchinan. Abchinan was Azam Kusha to the Reish Galusa. No one would ever dream that he's disassociating himself.
No, but how about the part of it allow if it could fall, then you're not allowed to wear it. So
why can't you wear it?
If you're saying that it could fall, what happens if it falls?
If it falls, no one was afraid that you'll pick it up. That was not the issue.
So then we could say that with everything. Oh, we only said that with.
The problem is that let's say it was on the sleeve. You would take off the garment, you would fold it in the way where the sleeve is not visible.
Yeah.
And then you would wear it in the. No one would carry, but they would throw it over the shoulders, thinking that they're good because they're not carrying. It's over the shoulders. The emes is it is carrying because people didn't wear this folded thrown
that
over
way. Right.
Rabbi, what's the overall rule with women or men? Tachshitim, is it an adornment? Is it what's the rule today? Jewelry, it seems like women are allowed to wear it, right?
So first of all, when it comes to men and women, I have to find out halacha lamaisa, but for sure the shita of the Rabbeinu Tam is brought down in halacha that men don't have a problem. There are articles that women may not wear that I know. Whether it's a chumrah or a ikra din, I forgot.
I thought it was only the issue for the chotam.
Huh?
I thought it was a problem with the ring that was the chotam that used to be signature stuff.
The is also for a man and a woman midorais. So we're speaking about ornaments. In other words, the concept exists. That if you're wearing something so fancy that you might take it off and show it, you got yourself a problem.
Oh.
This is a problem in Shulchan Aruch. I mean, I have to remember how we pass. And I know that let's say gloves, that's the same issue with gloves. Gloves is not to show off, but the minig ha'olam, you give shalom aleichem, you don't shake a person's hands wearing a glove. So many people hold you can't wear gloves on Shabbat.
Rabbi, what did you mention at the beginning of the shiur when you started that there's no gzeira to gzeira in a carmelist, and that's why maybe all of these ideas don't apply to a woman today.
Brought down, yeah, but the Ramban disagrees with him, and he says you're right. We would never make this gzeira if there only would have been carmelists in the world. But since there's always a Reshus Harabim, so for the Reshus Harabim, the gzeira stands. And the Ramban says the Chazal don't say it depends where you live. Many times they made a light look. It didn't want to say if you live where there's only a carmelist, then you could go with Tachshitim. But if you live in a Reshus Harabim, not everyone knows these halachas. The Sefer HaTruma writes that since there is no Reshus Harabim Bizmazeh, that's what, and the Ramban says it's not true. By Yodas Gedolos, there is a Reshus Harabim. He says you don't need 600,000 people. Therefore, nowhere can any woman carry fancy tachshitin. Now, we're talking about fancy tachshitin. Even then, you see, the Mishnah didn't say tachshitin. Everything that was mentioned, let's say if a woman has a golden crown, okay, then if there's no Eidov, I think Taka she would not wear it. She might take it off.
Maybe thank you. Ishkach, Rabbi.
A woman take off her engagement ring, I don't know. She shows it. No, she shows it. Yeah. You have to know what type of, what the minig is. But if the women
depends how big the ring is.
That's right.
Doesn't come off.
No, I think if it's very big, she would not trust it to give it to her friend. She would leave it on her finger. Just look at it. Don't take it. Good.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you, Rabbi.